And look at this, the shape of our union right now. It's a disgrace. It's because we have allowed people to take over this union that refuse to fight for the city letter carrier. Those days are over. If it's not tomorrow, it'll be in 2 years when we vote this motherfucker out.
That's right!
The original makers of the open marketing contract campaign resolution and our resolution team. After over 8 months of organizing over 30 branches, passing resolution representing thousands of members, it's true, we did win in essence of open bargaining on Wednesday, General Resolution 10, 11, and 12. After the leaders fought against it for months, this only happened after months of organizing and mounting pressure from the rank-and-file movement bill to fight in NALC, and it's up to the membership to make sure that those resolutions are followed through on. But there's one major difference between the open bargaining resolutions which passed on Wednesday and the resolution, General Resolution 14. The main outstanding difference now is the question of side-by-side updates. Side-by-side updates during negotiations are practice of many of the strongest unions in our country, from the United Auto Workers to the teachers who won record contracts last year, to public sector unions who also use this strategy. Our brothers and our sisters in the Militant Teachers Association, just outside of Boston, use side-by-side updates as part of their open bargaining resolution, part of their open bargaining strategy, during contract negotiations, and their illegal strike earlier this year, and then they want a strong contract with solid public support throughout that struggle. Side-by-side updates will empower the contract campaign that we voted on and passed on Wednesday. It'll bring carriers into the union. I have a question to the Executive Council. What is the plan to organize rallies and get substantive updates on what is called for in Resolutions 10, 11, and 12? Because as far as I know, we still do not have a contract as of today. Side-by-side updates will expose what USPS feels carriers are worth. We can show what USPS thinks we deserve side by side with what we are fighting for in the NALC. And that means that we need demands, which bill to fight NALC, and I believe in things like a $30 an hour starting wage, subsequent raises for all sex, ending mandatory overtime, and fighting for the right to strike, which has already been passed at the 47, 48, and 49 biannual conventions. These are demands that I think we need, but the point is, we need demands. Demands are not promises. Demands are goals we fight for collectively as a union. We shouldn't be afraid of demands. We cannot mobilize members with bad updates. We need to energize and empower the members to fight. I encourage delegates to vote no to overturn the Executive Council's recommendation of disapproval on Resolutions 13 through 16, so we get members mobilizing the fight for a strong contract and build a stronger fight in the union process. Thank you.
Chris Koenig, Minneapolis branch. For anyone that doesn't know, the Postal Service wants to move many of us out of our stations and into super stations that might house a dozen or so total offices. They call these sorting and delivery centers or SNDCs. They say any offices within a 30-minute reach of an SNDC could be consolidated. One of the goals of the Delivering for America plan is to relocate 100,000 carrier routes to SNDCs. These SNDCs will worsen the service we give to the public, will cost carriers time and money, and impact our working conditions. The OIG released a report on May 28 on SNDCs in Florida that found that cost savings from consolidating carrier routes that did not achieve projections. Late PO box uptime at post offices led to complaints from box holders and cancellations of paid boxes. Express mail did not meet service standards, requiring refunds. Attempted delivery mail was difficult to track, causing customer dissatisfaction, among other problems. The plan not only worsens the service we provide, but will also affect us as workers. Letter carriers are moved into an SNDC will have on average significantly longer commutes into work. The website Save the Post Office has taken publicly available data to calculate that each carrier affected would commute an average of an additional 120 hours or 5,000 more miles per year. The annual increase in travel expenses would be $3,150, not including lost time. When Joy was questioned about this, he said that postal workers would be willing to make a sacrifice for the service. Are you willing to make that sacrifice? I'm not. It's not that we're opposed to modernizing the delivery network. DOIT actually first came up with the idea of consolidating 100,000 routes in 2011, but they proposed a much milder consolidation. They would have moved post offices that were near each other together. So in my city, management has been talking about for years relocating my station 5 minutes away, and then one 10 minutes away. And that's the kind of thing that they were talking about that might make sense. We just need to look at Buffalo, New York, Grand Street to see a successful example of a fight against consolidations. Branch President David Rosecott spearheaded that fight and showed us that when you fight, you can win. They got the public involved, they got the sister unions involved, they got the businesses involved. They overwhelmed the service of opposition and won. This aspect of the Delivering for America plan is rotten for all of us. We need to oppose these SMBCs, and I want the union to get into the fight, and I ask your support in passing this resolution. Thank you,
branches that passed this motion. We all came together to pass this resolution because we believe that this is the strongest language that can bring us to a more democratic and modern union. We had a conversation Wednesday night between many of the branches who passed this resolution about this language specifically the word side by side, which the Exec Council found odious. We asked ourselves whether this language was worth fighting for, and we agreed it was important. We want to hold up side-by-side comparison as the ideal means of transparency, transparently conveying the state of bargaining to membership. We in Washington passed this resolution because we see this as a step in the right direction of reactivating and refocusing our union processes, from the contract bargaining down to the workroom floor, around the wants and needs of the rank and file. I want to focus on the value this brings to our ability to organize the contract campaigns that we voted to approve earlier this week with the passing of General Resolutions 10 and 12. By sharing side-by-side proposals on issues, we bring our membership in solidarity with leadership behind their platform and our platform, and against management and their insulting offers. Many of us understand how hard the bargaining team works to fight for a fair contract, but often I hear doubts on the workroom floor. These doubts from carriers could easily be assuaged through greater transparency. If I could show on our website, in the members portal, a bulletin, or in the postal record, the hard work of our bargaining team, if management is, for example, proposing to drop bereavement leave, for example, and the bargaining team is trying to expand it, sharing that fact with the membership helps heighten the contradictions between the NALC and postal management and invigorate our members. No proposal specifically asks for numbers at all. We are not asking for all the financials to be put here. That is not in the resolutions. I continuously hear from delegates about the dissatisfaction of their branch members. This is one way to re-engage carriers. Change can and should happen in this union towards progress. Just because things have always been one way does not make it right, fair, or even effective. We need to believe change can happen. And I urge you to overturn the Exec Council's decision. Thank you.
Jose from Branch 79 Seattle. We are a democratic union. It's a refrain we constantly hear within the National Association of Letter Carriers. Sadly, after President Vincent Soprano stepped down as president of our great union, the NALC has become complacent, signing memorandums of understanding and making handshake agreements with management without a thorough understanding of what truly goes on in our workplace. This has led to a crisis of leadership within the NALC, leading to reform movements being started this year. These include our building a fighting NLC movement and the concerned letter carrier slate to bring back the fighting energy to rank and file for contract negotiations to the working floor. Exemplifying this complacency and outright contempt for the NLC Constitution is a decision by NLC President Renfro on July 29, 2024 to deny Brother Christopher Jackson, Charles Miller, and Ricardo Guzman the ability to even appeal the decision of the Executive Council on the Article 10 charges against himself as the interpreter of the NLC Constitution. Well, many folks who will probably hear this can interpret Article 1, Section 4 of the NLC Constitution themselves. Section 4, the National Convention shall be the supreme body to which final appeal shall be made on all matters emanating from members, branches, and state associations. There shall be no geographical limitations on the jurisdiction of the Union. By attempting to use his powers of constitutional interpretation to block even the attempt to appeal the decision of the Executive Council under Article 10, President Renfro directly challenges the authority of the delegates elected by more than 200,000 NALC members to the National Convention. I believe this is not real union democracy. I therefore encourage the supreme body of the NALC, the National Convention, to overturn this anti-democratic interpretation of the NALC Constitution that strikes at the heart of the authority of the supreme body of the NALC, the National Convention. Thank you.
For anyone that doesn't know, the Postal Service wants to move many of us out of our stations and into super stations that might house a dozen or so total offices. They call these sorting and delivery centers, or S&DCs. They say any office within a 30-minute reach of an S&DC could be consolidated. One of the goals of the Delivering for America plan is to relocate 100,000 carrier routes to S&DCs. These S&DCs will worsen the service we give to the public, will cost carriers time and money, and impact our working conditions. The OIG released a report on May 28th on S&DCs in Florida that found that cost savings from consolidating carrier routes did not achieve projections. Late P.O. box uptime of post offices led to complaints from box holders and cancellations of paid boxes. Express mail did not meet its service standards, requiring refunds. Attempted delivery mail was difficult to track, causing customer dissatisfaction, among other problems. The plan not only worsens the service we provide, but it will also affect us as workers. Letter carriers who are moved into an S&DC will have, on average, significantly longer commutes into work. The website Save the Post Office has taken publicly available data to calculate that each carrier affected would commute an average of an additional 120 hours or 5,000 more miles per year. The annual increase in travel expenses would be $3,150, not including lost time. When DeJoy was questioned about this, he said that postal workers would be willing to make the sacrifice for the service. Are you willing to make that sacrifice? It's not that we're opposed to modernizing the delivery network. The OIG actually first came up with the idea of consolidating 100,000 routes in 2011, but they proposed a much milder consolidation. They would have moved post offices that were near each other together. So in my city, management has been talking about for years of relocating my station, a station 5 minutes away, and then one 10 minutes away. And that's the kind of thing they were talking about that might make sense. We just need to look at Buffalo, New York, Branch 3 to see a successful example of a fight against consolidations. Branch President David Groskopf spearheaded that fight and showed us that when you fight, you can win. They got the public involved, they got our sister unions involved, they got the businesses involved. They overwhelmed the service with opposition and won. This aspect of the Delivering for America plan is rotten for all of us. We need to oppose these S&DCs, and I want the union to get into the fight, and I ask your support in passing this resolution.
Thank you, Brother. To make changes, but I can tell you your national business agent's well aware of that, and it is something that is being worked on, and any opportunity we have to get it fixed, I promise you we'll take full advantage of it. Thank you.
Okay, now I have another question. When should we be expecting these fixtures to take place? Because I started over 35 years ago, and when I began tour, it was 6 o'clock. We're at 9:30, and we've heard this over and over, time and time again. So can somebody give us an idea of when we're gonna see something?
As soon as possible, I hope, sister. I wish I could give you a firm date, but we will continue to work on it. Thank you.
Greg Donaldson, Branch 88, Galesburg, Illinois. 2 observations. Earlier today, Kevin Ernst addressed the body, advising the body that because of the number of first-time delegates at this convention, we should give plenty of time to allow debates to be discussed.
So we talked about what.
However, we
talked
just
about here at the
passed a
convention, what
motion
we wanted in our contract.
that denied debates completely. Can everyone who voted yes on that motion say they know every resolution they passed with that motion by heart in great detail? No, you can't. I didn't even get a chance to read them all. Secondly, Brother Brian, you dodged my Jersey brother's question. Who is getting the new members? Greg Donaldson, Branch 88, Galesburg, Illinois. 2 observations. Earlier today, Kevin Ernst addressed the body, advising the body that because of the number of first-time delegates at this convention, we should give plenty of time to allow debates to be discussed.
So we talked about what.
However, we
talked
just
about here at the
passed a
convention, what we
motion
wanted in our contract.
that denied debates completely. Can everyone who voted yes on that motion say they know every resolution they passed with that motion by heart in great detail? No, you can't. I didn't even get a chance to read them all. Secondly, Brother Brian, you dodged my Jersey brother's question. Who is getting the new members?
I encourage everybody to think about some of the fights that we've had here, but we've also had a lot of wins. So please have fun in Boston. I'm having a great time. This is my 2nd national convention, and it's a lot more lively than Chicago, in my opinion. Thank you.
Thank you, brother.
They're going to start coming after everything. And if they don't have the air conditioner on in the warehouse, then of course, people are going to die. And we already have seen heat deaths in the street.
I think it's clear that as a body, we are super dissatisfied with the TRAP process. A lot of these motions are about adding the grievance process in. And I'm so sorry, the voice, hearing it is crazy. But this is the middle ground between an actual grievance process and something that could be passed as a joint process. We're hoping that this will give both accountability for carriers, but also the union and the TRAP workers. I mean, carriers were telling me all these complaints when they were going through TRAP in my office, and I was trying to have them explain to me what these complaints were, and it really was very difficult because so much of the process was between
These resolutions deserve to be read separately. In particular, General Resolution 14 was passed by over 30 branches, representing over 5,000 members of NALC.
Come on, people.
Of the national agreement. When we give up our ability to take a case in front of an arbitrator, we have no way to gain managerial compliance. We lose that neutral judge, one who can enforce the terms of our agreement. When the employer refuses to admit wrongdoing, when the employer chooses to bargain in bad faith, what do we gain by bargaining away our right to defend ourselves? A route inspection process where 60-day reviews aren't done. A training department that refuses to allow.
So I know a lot of people want to speak on this. I'll try to summarize it so we can move on with the business of the convention. So the resolution is not designed to be a solution to all of our problems in the grievance process. But just to start off with, last time we convened in 2022, we had 4,515 grievances pending at the DRT. Now we have 10,633 grievances pending. So there's a lot of ways to work on the grievance backlog. But keep in mind, brothers and sisters, Article 15 is our article. It's the way we address issues with the Postal Service. If it was left up to the Postal Service, there wouldn't be no Article 15. They would just do whatever they want to do, and we would have no recourse to address the wrongs and make sure that they follow the terms of the contract. We have a dispute resolution memorandum. The memorandum states what's supposed to happen when there's grievances pending at the DRT for more than 14 days. The language that it says in the DRP memorandum is that the parties will activate teams without further delay. So this is a contractual requirement. The only thing that this resolution would do is when the national business agent goes to meet with their counterpart. I meet with Sue Polka of the Central area. Nice person, sweet lady, but she does not willing to do is tell the managers and the people that work underneath her in the post office what they have to do. She's unwilling to do what the memorandum says. When her and I agree that there's a need to activate backups because the DRT can't handle the workload that they have in 14 days, which is the contractual time limit, when that happens, I go to her and we have an agreement that there's a need to activate backups. But then it doesn't happen because somebody else in the Postal Service says no. So then I want to know, and I want to make sure that my president has my back when I go to him and I say, hey, we need to activate backups, but the Postal Service is refusing to do so, and our members' grievances are sitting there beyond 14 days. Now, the only person under the terms of the contract that can file a national grievance is the national president. We've been asking.
Brother, your time has expired.
All right.
Thank you, brother.
There'll be more.
I am running for president of the NALC in 2026. I see that was I'm amongst friends, I guess, so that was an easy one. So I want to tell you a little bit about the campaign, and then I walked around and got some feedback from you guys on things you want me to address or talk about. A little bit about the campaign, and then I walked around and got some feedback from you guys on things you want me to address or talk about. We can do that Friday. I don't actually leave until Saturday. I don't know about you guys, but we can do that at any time. So the campaign, I think, is going well. I want to bring you guys in a little bit on it. And one of the first things we wanted to do was to, show that there's a mass appeal for my candidacy, for me being a candidate for president. So that was the point of getting out the buttons, and we have thousands of those things. You guys can take some more. I got a whole bag full of them back. I think I got still a half a box of them, in the hotel room. So the point is just, get the buttons out there. There's something that is legitimate that people are talking about. I think I have a chance to win, but I want everyone to see that I do have a good chance to win a legitimate candidate. Then the other thing we're doing with the raffle tickets, part of it is raising money, obviously, for the campaign. You got to raise probably $300,000 to $400,000. We don't have to raise it today, but over the next couple of years, and I think we'll be able to do that. But we wanted to raise some money here at the convention, but also we wanted to develop contacts with people all over the country. So part of the raffle ticket, when you register your ticket, is that you put your information in, your name, your branch, your email address, your phone number. So now now the campaign can have contact with you, and you can share the stuff with your people in your branch and your friends and all that good stuff. So all that's going good. There's like $5,000 in the pot right now. We won't draw it until Friday at like noon or after the convention. So by then it might be like probably twice that, I would say. So anyway, the payout is half, so no one's going to get the full amount. But you see, if you go to the careforprez.org website, it's all on there. We've been utilizing the website to get information out. So walking around, I've been taking pictures with people. We put the pictures up on the Facebook page, and then the website is going to have a photo gallery. The website has the stuff it's already had, which is the videos, the platform, certain documents and things that are relevant. And then we put the raffle into the website, so people that are not here can actually, register and buy raffle tickets if they want to, that are not here at the convention. So anyway, it's supposed to be like a one-stop shop if you go to the website, but nobody goes to websites anymore, so we gotta make you, so we force you to go to the website even though you don't want to. And then we, trying to be active on all the social media platforms just to have exposure and that kind of thing, and create debate and dialogue and interest in the campaign. So what is the campaign about, right? What is the purpose of it? The purpose, in my mind, is to put this union back on a solid footing of representing the members, and a union where the members of the union are involved, that they feel empowered, that they feel like they're decision makers, and a union that is successful in accomplishing what we want to accomplish, right? So that starts with a good contract, which we don't have right now. I'm not sure how many of our delegates here at the convention realize how bad the contract is. Those of us that were fortunate to begin our careers prior to January 10th of 2013 may have a little bit different perspective on the contract than those of us that started after that date or were a TE prior to that date or whatever, but the contract's pretty bad. It's pretty bad up and down, and obviously the worst part of the contract is the starting pay, but that's just for starters. I mean, there's tons of things wrong with the contract. I'll tell you one thing, the PTF pay, it's like a pet peeve. So the PTF, when I started, it was whatever it was, $12 or whatever when I started in 1994. But that pay, if you look at the table 1 chart, it's like $30 an hour now, versus the starting pay for CCAs is $19.33. But the starting pay even for PTFs is $22.13. But it's not even a real $22.13, because before, the holiday pay used to be built into, so if you're a full-time regular, you get 11 holidays of the year where you don't have to go to work, there's no mail delivery, and voila, they still pay you, right? So there's 88 hours of pay that they used to, prorate into the PTF, rate of pay. And we negotiated that away. It was a trade-off. We wanted to get the CCAs automatically converted, because prior to the last contract, we had CCAs that were working, however much amount of time, and they were not converting to career. So it's automatic conversion after 2 years, but we took that cut in pay, which is about $1 an hour. And keep in mind, all of the career carriers that are coming in now, they're now paying 4.4% into their retirement, versus when I started, when we started prior to I think the law changed right around that same time, 2013 and 2014. It went from 0.8% that we were paying, contributing, up to 4.4%, which adds up to about, depending on your pay rate, it's still about $1 an hour. So you lose $1 an hour here, you lose $1 an hour there. Your pay is significantly lower than what it used to be, and then it takes 5 ever to get to the top of the pay scale, right? So there's a lot of problems with the pay scale, but there's a lot of problems with the quality of life. The number of people that come into work that just don't like the work environment. We're constantly harassed, on a daily basis. There is no value to the company having a supervisor tell you as a professional letter carrier what you should or should not be doing, or how long it's going to take you, but we're the only people that know that. Like outside of the post office, the board of governors, Congress, the conventional wisdom is that, oh no, you need a supervisor, because otherwise these carriers will just do whatever the hell they want. Well, little do they know, we do whatever we want anyway. We just do it and are harassed at the same time. Like there's no value added to this, this harassment, and it just reduces the the level of customer service. And the way it reduces it is you have people that quit the job, you have people that are out there that are just going through the motions. It's not when you don't have dignity and respect in the workplace, then you don't have that same dignity and respect out there on the street when we're dealing with the customers and having those interactions. There's a great value in having a live human being, a representative from the federal government out in every, delivering to every home and business out in every community in America, minimum 6 and sometimes 7 days a week. And that value is significantly less when your employees have this constant turnover rate, when they feel undervalued, when they feel disrespected. So all of that ends up affecting the customer. And then you have a company that we're not really sure. Well, I'll say this, and I'll get into the whole plan that DeJoy has for running the company in a minute. But the way that those same supervisors that treat us poorly, talk to us in a very disrespectful, they just have disdain for the letter carrier, right? Those same supervisors don't give a shit about the customer either. They really don't. They have this title, customer service supervisor, and it's an oxymoron. It's not a true indication of what they do all day. So anyway, I think when you look at the contract, in order for us to be successful, we're going to have a transformational contract. So that means we have to look at the thing from front to back. We got to look at the grievance procedure. We got to look at mandatory overtime. We got to look at the fact that there's no schedule. You got to make the job appealing to people coming in. And it's in the law. So we have, when our brothers and sisters went out on strike in 1970, I'm looking around. Jamie, you weren't around then, were you? No. I don't think anyone was there. But, they went out on strike. They changed the law. They passed the Postal Reorganization Act. And they made it so that encoded in the law, this is a career job, obviously with pay and benefits comparable in the private sector. But the career employment, what it means is that this is a job that you're going to want to have. So if we get into the contract talks and they're not able to, we're not able to come to an agreement with the Postal Service, we can go in front of a neutral arbitrator and say, look, the law requires the Postal Service to have a job that someone's going to want to keep. That they're going to want to make a career out of. That's a requirement under the law. And the way this thing is set up right now, it just doesn't work. So the advantage to the way they set up the arbitration is that it's interest arbitration, it's binding, and it's a tri-party panel. We got someone, the Postal Service got someone, you got a neutral person. The person who is our person is working with and against the neutral person to make sure that the things that we're saying and presenting that make sense are going to get passed. So I think you start by saying what's happening now doesn't work, and then you show that you have solutions to the problems. Like, for example, if we had a better grievance procedure, at the end of the day, that saves the Postal Service money, right? Because they're constantly wasting money on grievance settlements. I mean, just in Chicago alone, we're killing them. And I know many of you are killing them, and you're making them pay out all this money. Hell, all the time they spend just handling grievances because they don't honor the contract in the first place. So, we put that on the table, that it doesn't work, that it doesn't work for the Postal Service either. And that the amount of money that the ratepayers are paying, which is eventually the people that are paying our salaries and all the expenses the Postal Service has, that it doesn't work. So if you fix the problems in the grievance procedure, if you fix the problems in the hiring process. Right now, Article 3 gives them exclusive right over the hiring process. Why? Why do we agree to that? If you're going to have exclusive right to the hiring, then there's a reasonable expectation that you're going to do it right. And they turn around and they say, well, we can't hire, we don't know what we're doing, so, fuck you, go out there and deliver 2 routes today, that doesn't work, So I think there's a lot of ways that you can address the contract, and we can present solutions, and we can show that there is money available. The money is just being wasted in the grievance process. The money is being wasted in overtime and penalty overtime. And the money is being wasted on all these damn supervisors that add zero value to the Postal Service, to the customer who's supposed to be benefiting from the United States Postal Service. So I would take a completely different approach to contract negotiations versus the approach we have right now. So where we're at right now with the contract, we absolutely do not know anything. When I say anything, I mean anything about the negotiations between our union and the United States Postal Service. And we are now, you go to the website, they got a ticker up, it's a running tally, but it's like 450 days, since the contract expired. And we know absolutely nothing? I mean, have we even told them what we want? I mean, there's no sort of process in of itself within our union of how we bargain for a contract is broken. And I don't care who the president is. If we need to elect a president that has the right vision for the contract and things like that, but no matter who you vote for, that process is broken. So we had a resolution, that a constitutional amendment we put forward from my branch yesterday, and I apologize. I should have campaigned for it. I didn't know it would come out like the way it came out because I don't know if everyone was sleeping or they just weren't paying attention. But the resolution was so simple. I mean, the constitutional amendment was so simple. It just said that the president, when they go into collective bargaining, they're going to utilize whoever they want. So the president has people on the staff. The president has economists. They have lawyers. They have actuaries. They have whoever they want to use, right? But in addition to whoever you want to use, you are going to have to involve the elected representatives of the union or one of their designees, the members of the executive council, in your collective bargaining process. If they're not present, you debrief them, right? So that means that now the collective bargaining process is accountable back to the members because we elect the members of the executive council. You guys elect whoever your national business agent or your director of retirees or whatever, and then that person is debriefed on what's going on with the contract negotiations, and then that person is responsible for communicating that back to the members, and where the members have issues that need to be addressed, then that person, like myself on the executive council, I can go back and say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. President, this is an issue that's important to the members in my region. I want to make sure that you're fighting for this, when you get in there and you talk to the Postal Service. But so the process we have right now doesn't work. Now, if we were to win the open bargaining resolution, that would help for sure. But I got to tell you, it's still going to be at the discretion of the president of the union to do that, to do what it says. And it's just very important that we elect the right people. So one of the questions that everyone's asking is, who's on your team, and are we going to divide the anti-Renfro vote and lose the election? The second one, we're not. We're not going to lose the election. I don't plan on losing. I don't lose elections. I'm very methodical. I work well with people. I plan to run a campaign where I'm going to work with people all over the country. I'll be getting out to talk with everyone in your branches. So whatever branch you guys are in, talk to your president. If you're the president, I'll be contacting them. You come out, talk to the members, answer questions, and I'm going to build the campaign slowly over the next 2 years, to make sure that when we do have an election, we don't lose, and we want to make sure we build participation in the next 2026 election. I think the last 2022 election, of course, we didn't have nobody to vote for. It wasn't like anyone was like, oh, you better make sure you vote because, whatever. So there wasn't a lot of excitement, but the numbers, the participation was horrible in the last election. So hopefully with, running a campaign, explaining your ideas to the members, taking questions, being out there, participating, having a lot going on, bringing to the members' attention that there's something going on, there's change afoot, there's something that they can participate in, will drive people to participate in the election. And then, of course, there's little tactics and things that you use. So anyway, I don't think we're going to divide the vote. Right now, we have a disagreement about, me and my friends in the concerned letter carriers have a disagreement on who should be our candidate for president. And we're going to work that out over the next couple of years. I'm not going to say we're going to work it out today. We tried to work it out even before anyone announced their candidacies, but we weren't able to do that, and that's fine. It's a democratic process, and but we'll work it out prior to 2026 and make sure that Brian Renfro is a terrible president, and I know this is being filmed, and I don't usually talk bad about somebody, but the members should know, and I'll tell you guys this. That vote today, and you win some, you lose some, and you accept the results. The members have spoken, the delegates, the supreme body of the NALC has spoken, and we're definitely going to abide by that and move on and fight our next battle. But I wish that everybody in that hall could understand that I wish they could understand what the president did and didn't do over a period of time. And I wish they would apply a standard that's slightly higher than, an inch off the ground for who is our president of the damn union. I mean, it's, how much time is left? Okay. So, the president of the union, we should hold that person to the highest of standards. And we just didn't, The fact of the matter is that the president, when we elected him, Brian Renfro, in December of 2022, was on the cusp of...
All right, I'm here in Fort Myers Airport. We just got back from the union convention of the letter carriers, and I'm here with... Who are you?
I'm Gary Famaro.
You guys speak up a little bit.
I'm Gary Famaro.
All right.
Gary or Morrow.
What branch and what
branch 2072.
And what are your thoughts of the convention that we just came back from?
I believe the convention was not as motivational or empowering as they have been in the past. There was a lot of work that had to be done, and some of the work was taken away with other issues that somehow should have been dealt with prior to the gathering of all the members.
What do you hope to see in 2026 LA convention?
I hope to see a closer union of brothers and sisters.
How do you feel about the fact that you're coming back to, how many members are in your branch?
Well, 375 or so.
You represent 300 members, and you got no contract update. How do you feel about that?
Well, I'm going to say that there's been contracts in the past that have gone a long period of time. I would like to know what exactly is the holdup. What are we waiting for? What are the differences between what the NALC is asking for and what the USPS is not going to bargain for?
At this point, we are 400 and almost 60 days into no contract. Do you think our union should release the first offer that the post office gave us?
Like I said, I think that there should be something like, we're asking for X and they're saying no.
So you are supportive of the open bargaining resolution?
Asking for X and they're saying no.
So you are supportive of the open bargaining resolution?
About us is the fact that we can be involved in directing how things can become. Okay, does that make sense?
Not really. There's no input. Our union has no input when it comes to the post office doing the SNDC centers. They literally just pop that shit right in the middle of the ground, and here you guys go. You guys are all working now in the SNDC center.
We're not working in this.
No, I'm saying when they come to the town, the post office is like, hey.
I do know that one on the other coast was kind of like, yep, there it is.
Yeah.
And it seems like it's odd to me that Amazon...
It was the old Amazon building.
No, that seems odd. So. But, it used to be we delivered, letters in some packages. Now it's packages in some letters. And it seems to me that those higher up already, when I say those, the USPS already gearing towards a whole different
approach.
Business model.
Are you experiencing in your office express mail being falsified or delayed by a day or two? And are you witnessing management?
I have not witnessed any of that. The express mail used to be a noon guarantee for city, and in some rural areas A3. Now it's 6, and that seems to be something that should be met at all times. I don't know how we couldn't meet that.
The last and final question. If this was 2026 and it was Mike Cariff, James Henry, or Brian Renfro, who are you going to vote for?
I like James Henry.
Okay. You don't have to make an endorsement for CLC, but this is just your personal opinion.
I like James Henry.
There you go.
I think he's I like all our brothers and sisters that fight for the union. I know that that's one thing I'm kind of depressed about. No, not depressed. I guess let down for all the business time we spent, and not one time did anybody say, "Hey, the gentleman that was actually harmed." What
Never
did
spoke.
we find out about that?
Yeah.
I mean.
He never had a rebuttal or anything.
They should have said, you know what, he's all right. You know. But anyway, we spent a lot of time, and like I said, I know that there just seemed to be a division. And the good thing about it is I don't know how long or how many of these types of events you've been to, but
Oh, never. I'm just a rank file member.
it's a democratic way that we go about stuff, and actually, I kind of believe that the voting should have been done differently, because
Electronic through secrecy, because you can't influence how people stand
Exactly.
up. Because the front of the convention dictates how the back of the convention feels. And then with the REAs and the BAs walking around.
I overheard some people say some things that they had heard. I just kind of wish. I'm not saying the votes would have ended up any differently.
Yeah, they definitely would.
But I kind of have a feeling that some people were for this, and then when they saw everybody else, they might have felt
swayed.
To switch.
Yeah.
And that's a shame, because you shouldn't. Everybody has their own opinion and should vote.
Okay, what's your name? What branch?
Gary Tomorrow.
Okay. What branch and city?
2072 Fort Myers, Florida. The NALC has done great things. We haven't always got our contracts through negotiating. Some of it's the CCAs from the arbitrators.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
yeah.
unfortunate.
Okay.
And, but hopefully, like I said, things we've always gotten better and better. And when we don't get something, like when we got the CCAs, we've negotiated. Well, we in the NALC has negotiated them getting onto a faster, quicker career path.
Exactly.
And I would hope that because a lot of parts of the country don't utilize them right off the street, I would hope that will be the way it goes, all career.
All career?
So all time worked is time spent. Anyway, I could go on.
I don't even know how to end this thing.
Sorry.
This is my second or third time doing this.